Hey guys, it's Angelo, and today is Friday, and accordingly, we're starting off with our weekly Ask Angelo Q&A, where you get to ask questions and I answer them. Over the course of the past 2 weeks, I've been getting loads of questions from you guys, and I'm always happy to answer them. And in what better way than making a video? I tried answering questions that were either asked by multiple people or very interesting, important questions that we should discuss. If you too have a question you'd like answered, feel free to write them in the comments or under any video you watch and have a question about, as I check all of them weekly and pick out some accordingly. You can also join the Discord and ask away in the Ask Angelo thread, of course, yourself. Good, now that being said, let's go right ahead and have a look. Chupak, a Discord member and a new patron, thank you for your support by the way, asks, when are you looking to create a Nyalotha raid guide for the Shadow Priest, and when you do, will you be breaking down the essences and talents per encounter as well? Yes, I am planning on doing a Nyalotha raid guide, just as I usually do with all raid tiers. Nyalotha is a big raid with 12 bosses, so making a raid guide definitely takes time, since I have to gather all of the good footage, I have to know the fight through and through, and I have to get all of the required insights, and so on. So expect that video to come out early on in 2 weeks, as next week will be a bit more of a discipline-centered week. Next up, we have a question from Janaidi, asking, what essences would you suggest for horrific visions, each spec but mainly shadow? Good question. First off, I would not recommend you going visions with anything other than your Shadow Priest, so don't play Holy or Disc, unless arguably you're in a 5-man group. Either way, you want to be going with DPS essences for AoE situations, so the Shadow Priest should be going for the essence of the Focusing Iris as a major, Blood of the Enemy and Purification Protocol definitely as a minor, and perhaps Lucid Dreams or Breath of the Dying as well. Moving on, we have a question from Sabas Santos asking if or when I'll cover essences for the disc. At least that's what I take out of the question behind essences. And the answer to that is next week. The Disc Priest Essence Guide comes out early next week, as I'll try to focus a bit more on the disc next week in general, seeing as the Shadow Priest had a lot of love these past 2 weeks. Another question from a priest on our Discord comes from Turbots. He says, my question is, are you able to generally keep the same gear, examples are boots, gloves, wrists, so probably all of the offset pieces, for all 3 specs? And Turbots, actually no I am not. I have a lot of gear in my bags, and I actually have an individual set for all 3 specs specifically. The Holy Priest has a completely different stat weight than the other 2 specs do, and of course wants to go for item level since it's a healing spec, as that spec wants to be aiming for mastery as well, so here I use crit and mastery, heavy rings and bracers and other items like the belt. For the disc, item level is mostly superior either way anyways in terms of healing, so even though I try to stay with crit and haste, I do have some versatility gear which simply has higher item level. For Shadow Priest, I have an individual set as well, with as much haste and crit of course as possible. Azurite armor for all 3 specs differ as well. A final question from the Discord side of this Q&A comes from You Guessed It, asking for the best corruption items for disc. Excellent question, and the quick answer is that the Siphoner effect, which grants you Leech, and Strike Through, which increases healing you do via critical strikes, as well as of course damage, are the best when it comes to healing throughput, while Void Ritual and Ineffable Truth are pretty strong for the overall output as well. Apart from that, I'll go into this more at a later time, as a few corruption effects are getting nerfed next reset, so I kinda don't want to dish out any false information at this point. But for now, of course, stick to these and you'll be fine. And the final question of the week goes to Joel Sprathoff, who asks, what add-on are you using with the mouse cursor to apply dots? I get this question quite often, and it's not an add-on actually, it's just a weak aura. Well, I guess that does make it an add-on ultimately, but either way, the link for that is in the description box below. Alright guys, that does it for this week's Q&A. I hope I was able to answer these questions to your satisfaction, and if you're watching this and you have a question as well, do not hesitate. Ask away in the comment section below or join our Discord and ask in the weekly Ask Angelo thread. Next week, we'll be covering the Disc Priest essences, with a lot of luck also the Disc Priest rotation, so stay tuned of course. Now, as always, thank you so much for watching, enjoy patch 8.3, have a great weekend, and I will see you all in the next one.